Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday live stream. Before we get into it and we talk about what's going on in the market, I just want to tell everybody that I am in the bearish camp. I am somewhat bearish. However, I have been accumulating and buying Bitcoin every single day via the Cash App. But here's what we know, and here's some good parts and some of the negatives, so I can give you a balanced outlook of what's going on with the market. So first things first, you already know, because I'm sure you checked your portfolio with the price about 20 times a day. Don't worry, I did the same thing. And it looks like we're going up. Things are looking pretty good. Overnight, we had quite a little bit of a rally. I didn't want to do a video this morning because it's just, I knew like these rallies, they can only go so far. And then we have like a little retraction, which you can see that around 6 in the morning, we're from 87,000. We peaked out around 12:40 Mountain Time. So that'd be roughly 2:40 Eastern. And we've come down with a little bit of a bump. So this is the market right now. And I think this, I'm pretty sure this goes for everything. Looks like as far as the altcoins, I mean, look at Solana, 12% in 24 hours. Fantastic. 15% for Cardano. I think that's the big winner in the top 20. Congratulations, Cardano holders, 12% for Chainlink and so on and so forth. So what's happening? Well, first of all, I mean, it's a good day. We should rejoice the green days. But as a reminder, as far as like from our all-time high, we bottomed out on November 22nd. And as of today, congratulations, we went from the drawdown from the all-time high from 32% on 22nd November, and now we're only down 26.85% from its all-time high. So, hey, it's still a win, and I'll take it. So what's going on? Well, if you take a look at what's going on in the news and the articles, that's one side. Of course, you would never really know. There are open interests, there are liquidations, there are buyers and sellers, there's OTC. Everything that is happening behind the scenes could be for other reasons, but it seems like everybody's been talking about this, which I think is a little bit of a catalyst, but it's also these two. Bank of America, which roughly holds around $2.7 trillion in assets under management and is the second largest bank in the United States, just gave the A-OK to its investment advisors to push 1 to 4% crypto allocation to Bitcoin ETFs. And it states here, Bank of America's wealthiest clients will gain access. It's a network of over 15,000 wealth advisors. And I didn't really know this about Bank of America, but they've already been offering this. So, and this isn't going to start today. It starts January 5th. The bank will enable its clients to gain access to 4 Bitcoin ETFs. So it'll be Bitwise, Fidelity, Grayscale, and BlackRock. It'll enable the bank's wealthiest, it's weird I said it, it'll enable the bank's wealthiest clients to gain exposure to Bitcoin ETFs. As far as I know, this is for everybody. It's not like it's for accredited investors. And again, it says here, it'll enable the bank's wealthiest clients to gain exposure, which were previously available upon request. I had no idea Bank of America was doing that. So I guess if you walked into Bank of America and said, I didn't want to talk to an advisor, they'd give you one. And you say, I want a Bitcoin ETF. Sure, let me set it up. But they couldn't actively pursue their clients to say, yes, you should get into this. And apparently there's 15,000 wealth advisors. Again, Bank of America is the second largest bank in the United States. So that'll probably be a big catalyst. And then also Vanguard just went live with their ETF. It's from Vivek. And he says that the Bitcoin ETF's volume on Vanguard just hit $1 billion on the opening within the first 30 minutes. Here's the thing. For Vanguard to do that, which is great because they were very negative on Bitcoin and ETF and the investment in properties of crypto, for them to get $1 billion in 30 minutes, that's not us. That's not retail. That's probably a bunch of institutional investors, hedge funds, and whatever else beyond that. I don't think that's retail going, I want to get a Bitcoin ETF. It's happened everywhere. It's probably these institutions that are reliant on Vanguard and said, I want to be a part of that. And that's great. It seems like there is a big thing. Maybe this is manipulation, like people like to say, or maybe it's just that Vanguard just got sick of being left out and they caved on crypto retained clients. And they are no small match. They have 9.3 trillion as far as availability for these different ETFs. And this would be today. And they're actually offering 4: Bitcoin ETF, Ethereum ETF, XRP, and Solana ETFs, all 4. And I thought this was interesting because they banned this a couple of years ago. On January 11, 2024, they put out a press release, said, we're not going to allow this to actually happen. Vanguard is the cream of the crop, and we will not let our customers get into some type of trash that is crypto. And now here they are changing stances. Why? It's simple, because they're not making money. Here's what they said. Vanguard said it is not deviating from its core manufacturing philosophy, so it would not be launching its own proprietary crypto funds. They're going to piggyback off of BlackRock and I bet everybody else. Instead, it will serve as a gateway, allowing its conservative client base to access regulated products, such as BlackRock, Fidelity, and Bitwise. And I can see why. And if you think about it, as far as like why they said no, the company told its customers 2 years ago, January 11, 2024, currently we aren't allowing any type of ETFs, even grayscale, to be purchased as it doesn't fit with our investment philosophy. So take a look at that time frame. January 11, 2024. You know what the price of Bitcoin was on January 11, 2024? It was $46,000. So first of all, if you're in Vanguard and you really wanted it, you probably wouldn't stay. But if you got Vanguard, and who knows how much assets under management they had back then, right now it's 9.3 trillion, you probably think to yourself, well, I'm an older investor and Vanguard I've been with for quite a long time. And if they say it's trash, then maybe it's trash and you're not going to get into it. And now you got to buy it when it's essentially double. So I guess it's a good thing they didn't offer this, 45 days ago. When it was 126,000. So congratulations, Vanguard. You didn't hit the bottom, but you didn't hit the top. And there's a reason why they're doing it. It's again, because not that they believe in it. Vanguard doesn't believe in Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP and Solana and all the stuff they're getting access to. They believe in money. Bitcoin ETFs are now BlackRock's top revenue source. And that just came out this week. So the reason why Vanguard and everybody else is coming in is because nobody wanted to be first, but nobody wants to be last. And that is a very bullish sentiment. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not totally straight up bearish all day long. It's because of this, and it could be. However, there's a flip side. So there's a couple of things I like to track. This was actually introduced to me by Wes over at Smart Money Tracking. Great guy, real smart. You should check out his YouTube channel. And he talks about, this is on Nansen, Smart Money Stablecoin Indicator. I'm not going to say it's smart money, but I'm going to say it's big money. It's big enough. And what these guys and gals do is that they sell their crypto and they get out, but they don't go into cash. They go into stable coins because they know they're going to get back in because this is a great casino, maybe. Or maybe it's the next big thing. But whatever it is, they have been selling since October 6th, 2025. Isn't that funny? That's when it was the all-time high. And it really picked up steam around October 11th when we had the whole debauchery that was 1010 in Binance. And you can see as of, when's this, November 19th, the 22nd? Big, huge push. And then just yesterday, November 30th and December 1st, you've got a line that goes pretty much vertical in their sell-off. So that's going to keep happening as we go down. I know people say, but Rob, you just said Vanguard, Bank of America, it's going to be awesome. Probably in the long run, but in the short term, here's the Bitcoin ETF flow for yesterday. If you notice, 65 million just got dumped out of BlackRock. And people will say, but Rob, BlackRock, that's not BlackRock. That's just retail. No, it's not. We did a video on it. It's advisors, it's retail, and it's institutions, and also it is BlackRock, who owns their own ETF on their balance sheet. I did a video. You can check it out. I'll link in the description. So I don't know who is selling, but you have to wonder who knew what and why are they selling and what is it going to be today? Even though we've got a pretty good day, we'll see. However, not to sound too bearish, I'm sorry. Just remember that we're still at a net positive total cumulative flow. And we've only gone down from roughly 61 billion down to a paltry 57. So things are still looking good. It's just that on the day-to-day operations, this is what we got. Also, for a little bullish, we just went up about 2 percentage points for the Fed to cut rates on December 10th. Looks like it went from 87.2 up to 89%. This is essentially a lock. Jerome Powell is going to come out and say he's going to drop those by 25 basis points. And everybody loves cuts. And I like those myself. Also, as a reminder, yesterday was when the Federal Reserve stopped quantitative tightening. Essentially, they're not going to offload. I get this confused. Quantitative tightening when they have things in their balance sheet as they start to unravel everything. And once they stop quantitative tightening, it takes a little bit of time before we get into quantitative easing, when they start to put and buy up treasuries and put it on their balance sheet and turn the money printer on. Quantitative easing is not just money printing. It is a series of events. But we can see here, my man Brett Eth always does good charts. And we get to see that we talked about this yesterday, I think, August 2019. That's when the overnight repo agreements really started to take off, and we stopped quantitative tightening. But what you may notice in this nice, beautiful chart here is that we actually cut rates at the same time, and the price of Bitcoin kept going down. So first of all, it's great that quantitative tightening is going to stop. Why does it take so long? Well, there's a little mystery called the overnight repo agreements. What is that? Well, this is essentially liquidity, and it's between banks, and it's on the Federal Reserve balance sheet, and they buy these things overnight, and they keep them on the sheet. Temporary open market operations involve short-term repurchase and reverse repurchase agreements that are designed to temporarily add or drain reserves, liquidity available to the banking system, and influence day-to-day trading in the federal funds market. This is taken right from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. This is the official documentation. And we can see here that there's a little bit of a spikes as the repo agreements, as they start to bubble up and come over here, 2025. That's interesting. It looks like nothing ever happened for like, well, I don't know, 5 years, which is not true. You can see that, this is where there was a liquidity problem. Remember in 2020, when there was this thing called coronavirus? That's what this is showing you right here. And you can see it that, okay, so the overnight repo rates kind of fluctuated. The reserve stepped in and added liquidity to the banks. Great, and we had a pump there, and we're gonna have a pump over here because it's starting up again in 2025. And that could be true. However, if you go max out, you will notice something. And that is that for the majority of time, we actually had a bunch of overnight repo rates over here, 2000, 2004, 6, 8, and so on and so forth. Then we had a little recession, a great recession, and we lost a lot of liquidity. And they said, okay, well, we'll just flood the market and we'll just print money like crazy. And they did a great job. They did a great job then. And they did a great job in 2020 and 2021 as they printed like crazy. That's why you don't see any kind of liquidity coming in right around here. Now, there's other caveats that I'm sure, and you'll tell me in the comment section. But as a reminder, we did have all-time highs in 2017. And we didn't have any repo rates that were astronomically high. Now, 2021 and 2025, here we go again. And we'll see. We'll see if that actually plays out. But I will tell you that as far as like quantitative tightening, quantitative easing stopped and quantitative tightening began in April 2022. This is the Fed's balance sheet. But as a reminder, didn't we get an all-time high from there? As the balance sheet, as they started to kick off the different assets from the Federal Reserve, and we kept going down and down and down. As I recall, we had an 8X during that time. From November 9th, 2022 to October 6th, 2025, which is the high, we did an 8X. And that was when quantitative tightening was going on actively. And people will say, but Rob, now that we have more liquidity, stop being so damn bearish. Because now that we have all this more liquidity, look what we did without the liquidity. And look what we could do for it coming into it. And I'll say two things. First of all, if we want to talk about, just as a side note, about rate cuts, and then we're going to get rate cuts. The Bitcoin hit its all-time high when rates are getting raised, when it's flat, when it's going down, and everything in between. And also, as far as liquidity is concerned, did we not hit an all-time high in 2017 as well? And did we not hit an all-time high in 2025 when we were at liquidity at all-time highs. And even though we have liquidity as far as this is the M2 money supply at 22 trillion, the global money supply is 109 trillion. So you're telling me that we just dropped 32%, even though we have the most amount of liquidity we've ever had circulating around in the global markets? I'm just looking at this, and it's one of the things that concerns me, because I'm like, is quantitative tightening going to be that big of an issue? Potentially it could be. I hope I'm wrong. I hope everything goes great, and we'll all see how it all works out. But it's just odd that we have this much money sloshing around, and we have rate cuts actively going on. Quantitative tightening just started, so I'm going to reserve my opinion. And hopefully in the next 6 to 8 months, we have some big all-time highs, just like we did in August of 2019 to 2021. But as a reminder, you know, all this money that has come out, this is the money market funds. And what do you see here? It's almost the same as the M2 money supply, essentially, but this is essentially the money that is held privately. This is for banks. This is for hedge funds. This is for all types of money that's essentially sloshing around. And we're looking at $7.5 trillion right now is at an all-time high. People aren't spending. People aren't putting things out. People aren't investing right now. And I think what it is, I mean, they are, but they're putting a lot into it because I think people are still scared about this bubble that's coming. And not just the money market funds, but we also got Berkshire Hathaway. In Q1, it was $347 billion. In Q2 and 3, I think it raised to $386 billion. That's the most amount of cash they've ever had. However, on the flip side of that, Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway did invest into Alphabet. And the reason I think is because of this AI boom that's coming, and people say it's going to pop, but to level it out of some bullishness, this is from David Sachs, and he's right. This is from an article. Data centers are a gold rush for construction workers. And I don't think there's going to be a major AI bubble if the government subsidizes AI. And if we can subsidize healthcare, and if we can subsidize other businesses, we're going to subsidize the AI markets. David Sachs says this: it's a great time to be a construction worker, electricians, carpenters, welders, plumbers, drywall hangers, concrete pourers, blah, blah, blah. All seeing their wages up 25 to 30% as a result of the AI boom. Don't you think this administration would want to keep those jobs high, especially with, I don't know, the midterms coming up? And I think they're going to pump a bunch of money into AI to keep this whole bubble from not popping. And if that's the case, then the people that are sitting on funds here, they figured it out. Warren Buffett did, at least, and he invested in Alphabet. I'm expecting him probably to invest in some other different AI plays. And the things that are going on with the money markets, maybe they'll get loosened too. I reserve my opinion for later, but again, I'm still buying Bitcoin every single day because I don't know which way it's going to go. I'm just trying to give you the most information I possibly can, and that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. We're talk about is time sensitive. Also, before you take off, I will be talking with Dana and Gary Cardone, of course. On his channel, we're going to talk about crypto security and safety. And I think this is a pretty important thing that people should know about, because it's great if you go up, 2x, 5, 10, 20x. But you know what sucks is when you wake up to sell that and it's all gone because a hacker got you. So come over there. We'll be there live in about 20 minutes. Links in the description, and I'll see you over there. But until that time comes, let's do a little Q&A, and I'll answer all your questions. Whew, that was a lot of talking. And the reason why I talk so much is because even I'm trying to make all these things make sense. Everything that has to do with macro, everything that has to do with crypto, everything that has to do with the narrative, everything that has to do with volume and liquidity. It's difficult, but you can kind of see over time, the more you think about it, you start to get a vision of where things are going. I don't know if we're going to go like near term, December is going to be the greatest month of all time, like Tom Lee says. But I can see things happening in Q1 when all this stuff just kind of settles down. And it's also why I buy Bitcoin, but also it's because unless the government stops printing money and debasing the currency, then I'll probably stop buying Bitcoin. But until they do that, I think I'll do the same thing because that's what the governments do. Let's see. Meme says, and she's right, all I know is that there are only 21 million Bitcoin, and I'd like to own as many as I can while they can still be purchased. Call me crazy. Yeah, you know, like, I mean, we think it's going to do well, but the thing that people really can't answer is timing. It's like the 2021 bull run. Everybody came out and said, hey, you know what? At least 100K. At least, that's the minimum. And they were all wrong. They were wrong about the time frame. They just weren't wrong about the price. Just that it took another 2 or 3 years to hit that. Yeah, 3 years. So yeah, look and see it. Thanks. Thanks, Bison. I appreciate it. Frosty P says there's plenty of EOS around to purchase. Well, that's true. I think I still have some EOS and some defunct EOS wallet collecting digital dust. That's right. HOD1 says data shows when you do that, you will be in when the 10 largest days happen. You will limit your downside and you will avoid FOMO. And it's a thing. It's something that I learned when I thought I was an investment genius in 2021, and I bought a bunch of stocks around November, December 2021. I'm like, this is easy. And then, of course, I didn't buy anything in 2022. And then early 2024, I looked at my portfolio and I was like, hey, I'm way down. What the heck happened? Oh, that's right. You're supposed to buy in the bear market. So like right now, as we go down 30%, 32%, 50, whatever, we get to 70%. If you don't keep buying, actually, I need to rephrase this because that sounds like financial advice. For me, I know that if I don't keep buying in the bear market, that's when all the gains are made. It's not the gains that are made like when you perfectly position yourself and then Bitcoin skyrockets, 10x. It's usually not what happens. Usually it's during the lull. Here, I'll give you a prime example. This is the all-time high to the all-time high. And what you'll notice is just this is your return on investment. From 20, if you would have bought the top like most retail does in 2013, Bitcoin was $1,242. The next high was 19,006. So that's like a 16x, which isn't too bad. But if you would have gone from, say, the low to the high, the low was just a year later, roughly, and at $172. If you would have bought around there and then kept buying, well, it would be 110x at the lowest point, but you get the drift. When you're buying up here and keep buying towards the top, your ROI is poor. The same thing, 2017, if you would have just bought the top and then come back and around November, you're like, hey, I'm only up 3x, which isn't too bad. Or you could have been buying the lows, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, you could have been up 21x. So 3x versus 21x. And even this one, if you would have only bought in 2021, November at 67,000, you would have been roughly at it's like a 1.8x. So that's no good. You want to be buying when it's like, I want to be buying when it's right now, like down 30%. Hopefully it goes down 50%, who knows? But it's a difference between an 8x and a 2x, a 3x and a 21x, a 16x and a 110x. So just remember that as time goes on. All right. Underoos, my favorite. Am I the only one in the chat that wonders what type of PJs Larry Fink wears? I'm thinking he has pink fluffy unicorns. It's a great question. Not something I ever thought about. And unfortunately, now I can't envision that. I've got about 20,000 XRP in a paper wallet I still can't find. Hey, that would be great if you could find it. Yeah, XRP holders. You guys did pretty good after that, after the settlement, after the case was withdrawn from the faulty SEC. So hopefully that can just keep going, but who knows? I bet we're going to move like a spaceship. Let's hope so. Maroon silk. No, since says Bitcoin should not go down more than 70K. As to money now, it costs 70K. Hey, that's a pretty good one. What's great about that 70K you just mentioned, and that's interesting though, about to mine Bitcoin right now, it costs 70,000. So that's their break-even point. So maybe that'll be the level of support at 70K, like you TA people like to say, level of support. Not a TA person, as you can tell. But that will be interesting because just like we talked about, the Bitcoin price never dropped below election day price. Last election was November 5th, 2024. Now, of course, Trump took office in January, but election day, 69,000. So I can see 70,000. Sure, let's just stick with that. 70K is the bottom. If I'm right, I'm going to cut just that piece and blast it all over X. See, I called it. What do you think about Clean Spark? Is it a good investment? This is a Bitcoin mining operation, I believe. They're doing everything with renewables. I'm not too well versed into it, so I can't really tell you about it, but it's anybody's guess. I didn't know this. ETH upgrade tomorrow could spark a rally. Sounds good to me. As long as, and I think this is one of the Ethereum improvement proposals, or EIP, where they're going to actually cut gas costs again. If that's the case, that'd be great. I think they've done a good job so far with layer 1 cost reductions. Maybe they can get rid of layer 2s. Just go straight up Ethereum. Now that would be fantastic, because I got to tell you, I do not like using a bunch of layer 2s. I think it's a recipe for disaster, especially for adoption. Just go with one layer 1, Ethereum, cut your gas cost, move forward. If Solana can do it, hopefully you can change that engine as it's roaring down the interstate. That sounds like a price prediction clip. Yeah, it did. It sure did. When ETH forked some years ago, it was a local top. I remember those days. ETH Classic. Remember that? Does anybody own that? Why do you own that? That's my next question. Let's see. Ooh. Right now we're moving like Sputnik. Very true. Jay Steve says, is next week's rate cut priced in? Probably for the majority, but you're always going to get like a little bit of a movement, because people are always, there's just that little, I don't know, the reptilian brain that we have, the fight or flight mechanism. In the back of our brains, we're thinking to ourselves, okay, it is 90%, but there's 10% that they could do nothing or actually raise rates. So who knows? And the majority of people will go for it, but some people like myself are like, well, like my friend Bobby, who might use Polymarket and vote against it. It'll probably move a little bit. I don't think it's going to do a ton. I mean, we're at 90%. If we were at like, 50-50, I'd probably see it. Let's see. Ed says, DNews stake pool is going to be paying night tokens. We've already done what we're supposed to do. We're waiting on documentation from the foundation to move forward with midnight. So we will support it, and we'll go from there. Oh, December 15th is your birthday. Very nice one. I'll have to remember that. Hey, Rob, December 4th is the next full moon. Pump incoming. I love these ones. These are so funny. You know what else I like? I also like how people's rationale for bear markets come in. I remember in 2018, it was because it was all about, what was it? It was the Chinese New Year. That's why everything was going down, 2018. But, Chinese New Year, they're taking profits and they're, buying their family presents. But once the Chinese New Year is done and everything, kind of cycles out, we're going to be fine. Damn, I remember that. It's funny. And of course, now full moon stuff. So we'll see. Full moon Bitcoin. Yeah. Yeah. The big question is the Bank of Japan rate hike priced in. Yeah, when Japan moves, it's especially this price. Jerry had to explain this to me. I'm not really good with this stuff. And he's like, look, he goes, when outside hedge funds come in and they buy up everything and it's priced in the yen and they start to raise the yield rates, they have to pay that back. And unfortunately, everything starts to decrease. So I was like, oh, that's what it is. So it's outside investors coming in, getting all this free money. And then, of course, the Bank of Japan raises the rates like, shoot, I got to pay this back. it's a lot more. Makes sense. Meme says, oh, thank you, Meme. CleanSpark mines Bitcoin more cleanly by focusing on energy efficiency, including using newer, more efficient hardware and strategically located data centers in areas with low cost, reliable energy. That sounds pretty good. You know what else I think is going to be a big boom? Just like, where did it go? David Sachs and AI. And here I said very simply, you know, this all makes sense. And I think the government will subsidize the AI. And they've actually put an initiative out anyhow. But I said, true, all these things about building these data centers makes a lot of sense, but we need to solve the electricity problem. And that is a huge, huge problem because we need like 5x of the electricity consumption of what we're actually putting out right now just to keep up in the AI race, because we don't want China to beat us, right? Unless you're from China. But if you are from China watching this, how'd you get against around the Great Firewall? I'm going to report you. Just kidding. So we'll see what happens. Electricity, I think, is going to be big. I think if you invest into that sector and you get into stuff like renewables, I think it's either going to be solar or nuclear. It's not true. Solar, nuclear, methane, oil. That's where we're going to get the most of it. And of course, we're going to drill like crazy because that's the administration's direction. All right. The new moon is December 19th. Very nice. Matt so says, Rob, stop ignoring my question. This will not end well. All right. What's your question? PR. Thank you, AI. Yes. Lone Wolf loves us all. Fantastic. The Great Firewall of China. Matt, so I don't think you really have a question. Hey, Ben's chair here. And that's it. I think that's all. Okay, everybody. I got to get some water before I go on this this live stream over on Gary's channel, which should be a good one. I like talking security because if there's one thing I despise, it is people. Well, I despise the scammers, and I feel extremely sorry for the people that get scammed. So hopefully this can bring just a little bit of information to people so they don't get screwed over. Anyhow, that's going on in like 5 minutes. So I'll see you guys over there if you want to listen. If not, see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much, everybody. Adios.